In all of the controversies about the opposition coalition party platform, which has been unveiled, comes on personal attacks and disagreements. But tonight, we get a robust reply and a right of response from Chief Dele Momodu to the interview of FCT Minister Dissecting Wike. And the presidency is also reacting to the criticisms coming from the opposition, part of which they say there are being some misconceptions and the dysfunction of fact presentation. We'll be getting some reaction on the interview with Mr. Peter Obi. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I am Sean Okimbaloye. We begin tonight's program with a reaction from Chief Dele Momodu, a publisher and the 2011 presidential candidate of the NCP. Part of the innuendos or some of the statement attributed of what the FCT minister said was as to the character of those who are fronting as the leaders of the opposition, which Chief Dele Momodu, one of those persons that are in the opposition coalition, his name was mentioned. And some of these issues raised are going to be our point of conversation tonight. But before we get to speak with Chief Dele Momodu, let me bring you up to speed with those things that you need to know in politics today in Nigeria.
The federal government is calling for active citizen participation in the ongoing efforts to deepen public accountability and fiscal transparency in public offices. The Minister of State for Finance, Mrs. Doris Uzokanete, stated this at the opening of the National Conference on Public Accounts and Fiscal Transparency in Abuja, where she represented President Bwala. The conference is jointly organized by the Senate and the House of Representatives Public Accounts Committee. Members of the House of Representatives Committee and Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, are advocating improved budgetary allocation to the agency so as to enable them function well in executing its mandate. Speaking in Sokoto during an oversight function, the deputy chairman of the committee, Representative Sadiq Ango Abdullahi, says improved funding has become necessary due to the importance of good highways in advancing the nation's economy. 12 persons have been convicted for operating unlicensed pyramid business in the country. The chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission announced this during a workshop organized by the Securities and Exchange Commission for judges with the theme Repositioning the Nigerian Capital Market for National Economic Transformation through Alternative Dispute Resolution. The EFCC boss adds that 48 others are currently facing legal proceedings.
A few months ago, EFCC had cause to release about 58 names of businesses operating in Nigeria, unlicensed businesses carrying out pyramid scheme in Nigeria.
In Taraba State, the state government has described as misleading the claim by unspecified persons that it has posted the governor's deputy chief of staff to the office of the state deputy governor as a replacement for the ailing deputy governor, who is on medical leave, while clarifying the appointment and redeployment of Mr. Emmanuel Lawson in a press briefing. The special advisor to the governor on political affairs, Professor Josiah Kente, reveals that the move is a temporary administrative oversight for effective governance and service delivery to residents. Today, the Enugu State Governor, Peter Mba, unveiled the state-owned airline, Enugu Air, describing it as a giant leap for the state and a gold standard for government-private sector partnership. The inaugural flight of the state-owned airline took off on earlier today, marking what the governor called a historic moment for India Enugu.
Well, welcome back to the program. Let's get straight to it. Tonight, we bring you a pivotal conversation in Nigeria's unfolding political drama, as we have seen in the last few days. Earlier this week, the FCT Minister Dissecting Wike took on Channels Television, Politics Today, launched what has become a searing critic of the newly unveiled opposition coalition, now anchored on the African Democratic Congress platform, ADC. It dismissed his accusers as a gang of failed and expired politicians, challenged their claim to rescue Nigeria, demanded that they present their governance scorecard, and even derided the likes of Chief Dele Momodu as almost irrelevant in the political scheme in the country with no votes to their name. Mr. Wike went further, taunting the coalition for convening just 6 months into President Tinubu's term, labeling the effort premature and born of desperation. These remarks were not only personal but cutting. He accused coalition leaders of exploiting national hardship for their own personal and political gains. Well, we've been hearing and getting reports from the ADC and defending the coalition as a genuine democratic force, portraying Mr. Wike's statement as a sign of dread and the rising strength. And now, tonight, Chief Dele Momodu, the journalist and a publisher, a former presidential candidate of the NCP, a key member of the ADC coalition, will be joining us for a right of reply on the program. He's supposed to also talk about the remarks made by the Minister of the FCT. Chief Dele Momodu is virtually with us on the program. Thank you tonight, Chief Dele Momodu, for joining us.
Good evening, Seun, and I would like to thank the management of Channels Television for this opportunity, because a lot of people felt that you will be intimidated and bullied, and so you might not be able to take my response. So here we are, and I'm ready for your questions.
All right, we are always fair right here on Channels Television, without having to use the very popular term by the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, of not belonging to anyone, but you have the interests of all the Nigerian people, whether in power or out of power. But let's get straight to it. And in the conversation that we have prior to this interview, you show just how connected you are to Mr. Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, your history with him, how you met with him. There's a particular part of the video which is made available to me, which I'd like our viewers to see. Let me play a portion of that video so that everyone can see.
My friend Dele Momodu, one of the respected journalists, to come and see whether it is 3D drawing. At the end of the day, by the time you go around the complex, you will know.
All right. On one hand, this is you in Rivers State. There seems to be some level of cordiality between you and Mr. Wike, and which I'm trying to use this video to establish my very first question, so that Nigerians can know exactly what those who want to lead Nigeria, the issue of what they need to bring forward in terms of he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. So again, this is you and Minister Wike, and it shows some level of conviviality and cordiality.
I thought it's me you wanted to do it No problem. The place is filled.
All right. This to me shows around 2019, 2020, or 2021, thereabout, if looking at the pictures.
2022.
So there are a lot of people who will imagine that you and Minister Wike have a level of closeness, that in fact, he gave you a job and you lived with, you were in Rivers State. But the big question is that there are those who say you collected money from Minister Wike. And was it right to say you took money from him, or you were at some point housed in Rivers State, but now what went wrong? How did you both now side to the enemies?
Well, let me start with some of the messages I received early this morning. A former Attorney General reached out to me and pleaded with me not to wrestle with a pig. He advised that I should not wrestle with it. So I will set the record straight. So I'm not here to wrestle with someone who is absolutely shameless, who does not care about anything in this world other than his alcohol. What we witnessed on television last Friday was the height of recklessness and the responsibility on the part of someone employed by the federal government of Nigeria to look after the interests of every Nigerian and not just that of his cronies, whether in PDP or in APC. It went beyond normal. And so, to answer your question frontally, I was a media consultant to Nyesom Wike around 2022, and you have the video there. I had interviewed Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on this very table. And thereafter, some people reached out to me that I should give Wike a right of reply because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu blasted him heavily that day. And of course, as a responsible journalist, I accepted to speak to him. He was very excited, and during the interview, he reached out directly, you have the video, that I should bring the Ovation team for 2 weeks. He said it with his own mouth. We didn't beg him. My job is my job. I don't ever joke with my job, and I respect whosoever is a client. Wike at that stage was still a bit normal. Tonight, I would like to dissect Wike's metamorphosis. If you read Wole Soyinka's Jiro's metamorphosis, that's what has happened to Wike. Wike started from the spirit, demonic spirit of power. You know, when a man who has been a nobody gets power, he begins to change slowly and steadily. I don't know if you've read the book by the Brazilian author Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. The oppressed man respects only one man, his oppressor. Wike used to respect Rotimi Amechi. And Rotimi Amechi had been my friend from the time he was Speaker of the River State House of Assembly. On one occasion, when they had their parliamentary conference in Accra, Ghana, Rotimi Amechi led our parliamentarians to my house in Accra, including the former governor of Absina, Aminu Mafari. They all ate in my house. In fact, Mafari told me that was the first time he would enjoy eba and okra. I never went on air to disparage them, that okra fell on their garments. But that is Wike. So, after that, what happened was Wike got power. He became chairman of Phobia for local government. And that was when his metamorphosis started. Of course, after power in Nigeria comes the spirit of money. Also very demonic, if you don't know how to manage it well. So Wike started making small money. He pretended to be supporting his boss, Rotimi Amechi. And then, thereafter, he had enough money to drink his choice alcohol from Akpeteshi, otherwise known as Gogoro. He started drinking the most expensive alcohol. I went into Google before this interview to check if there is any similarity or correlation between alcohol and drugs. And I got the confirmation I needed. That in fact, alcohol and drugs are one and the same. They perform the same effect in the drinker and the drunkard. So what I saw on display last Friday on your show showed a man who was absolutely soaked in esoteric spirits. A man who was on a different planet. He was no longer on our planet. Yes, I said it, yes. My appeal to President Bwala is that no matter what you are expecting to gain from Wike in 2027, Wike is not the kind of character you should promote. He's not the kind of young man who should hijack our common patrimony. So, as I said, he brought us into Port Harcourt. He took us everywhere. You can see he even gave me his Mercedes, his Maybach, his everything. I could do no wrong. When he could not face Nnamdi Kanu's guys in, Oyigbo. Do you know, I was the one who went in there as a journalist to talk to the people live. You can see him. He took me personally around the hospital he was building in the State House. I wish we had the voice. Then you would have seen the way he was introducing me, the great journalist, the great this, the great that. That's Wike for you. When Wike needs you, when Wike needed Dr. Odili, he was very meek. When he needed Dame Patient Jonathan, he was very meek. If Wike needs you, he will do anything in this life. You can see me sitting down in front of him. That is his car. He told them to remove the flag. That was his official car. I appreciated him for it because he was telling me how he used to watch me and his boss, Amici, in those days, flying helicopter. And I think the only time I flew an helicopter in Rivers was when we went for the funeral of then Vice President Goodluck Jonathan in Otuoke. So we had to take an helicopter to go there, Wale Babalaki. I think Iyabo Obasanjo was on that flight with us. So he's been watching us for a long time. And sometimes, again, referring to pedagogy of the oppressed man, according to Paulo Freire, has only one dream in life, to become an oppressor. So when an oppressed man becomes an oppressor, he will go all out.
Yeah. So, because the
he
description,
will go all
just
out
a moment.
to now act worse than his former oppressor. Yes.
Yeah, Chief Dele Momodu, you appear to have benefited financially, of course, from Mr. Nyesom Wike. At what point did you fall out with him? What went wrong? Because you explained your history, which is part of your...
Mr. Nyesom Wike benefited immensely from my talents and from the pedigree of the Ovation Media Group. We touched him up. They say sometimes you can take a man out of the bush, but you cannot take the bush out of the man. We worked on Wike and he was happy. Every morning, when I'm in Port Harcourt, he will ask me to come to his house. We will make sure he dressed up very properly. We make sure that even we did a bit of speech therapy, telling him how to speak to people. But he had one major problem. That major problem was too much alcohol, which when he takes it, and he takes it as early as possible in the morning. I've never tasted gin and tonic in my life. He introduced me to it, that it's a very good drink and everything. I'm surprised he wasn't talking about all those drinks. He was talking about only food. So what then happened was that at some stage, I realized that he had presidential ambition. And I also had presidential ambition. Wike cannot take competition with anybody. So I now wrote a letter to him that my biggest asset is my access to the high and mighty and also the ordinary citizens of Nigeria. Everywhere I go, I meet them. And I told him that in the north of Nigeria, something, Wike has a pathological hatred for the northerners because of whatever, I don't know. So I told him, I said, it's going to be difficult for him to get the tickets of the PDP. And I wanted to announce to him that in case he decides not to run, he should support me. From that moment, he got angry. But what I said came through. a former president of Nigeria sent someone to me, someone very, very top, that they should tell me not to waste my money on the PDP primary, that Wike had raised the stakes to $30,000 per delegate, 30,000 times 774 delegates. Of course, if you were to sell my family from first generation to the last generation, there was no way I was going to come up with that. And even if I could come up with that, I will never waste it. So you could hear Wike saying on your program, just before the primaries, on your program, Sheung, when you asked him, so what do you think about the new entrants like Dele Momodu, and he just with who is Dele Momodu? That was where our trouble started. What I expected of him was that if you're not going to support a man, if you are going to run a fair race, and then let's leave it there. I wrote a letter and I copied the former Attorney General. Yes?
Let me ask you, what caused all of these furore and led to personal attacks is a question mark on those of you who are leading the opposition coalition. The question as to whether or not some of you have the credentials of the message of the gospel you are preaching right now to Nigerians. You're saying you're looking for a new Nigeria. You are bringing back a Nigeria that is different. But what is the credential of some of you? And those of you who have, you not apparently, because you have not been in power, those who have been in power for several years, and he's questioned those who have not really had the requisite experience and capacity. The big question is that the ABC, the opposition coalition, and those who are leading it don't have what it takes morally to lead Nigeria at the time. That was a big question Mr. Wike was asking all of you.
Mr. Wike did not know what he was talking about. There is no nation that is governed by saints. Nations are governed by performance. Leadership is not about politics. It is about managing people and resources. Please tell me how many politicians that we have today, whether in APC or in ADC or in PDP, who have done any business in their lives successfully. So it will be an insult to some of us who have labored all our lives. I've been in politics since 1982 when I was 22 years old, and I've never been in any government. But I've interacted with global leaders, and none of them has two heads. It's about how you are able to manage people and resources. If you look today, you want to tell me that Peter Obi has not managed people and resources? You want to tell me that Atiku Abubakar has not managed people and resources? I mean, that would be unfair. So if you look at those caliber of people and you rubbish them as doing nothing, I knew, for example, when Atiku was vice president of Nigeria and how the economy was managed at the time, and the quality of young men he surrounded himself with in Aso Rock. I used to go there in those days. And by the way, most of them were from the south of Nigeria. Until today, the work we did for him from 2022 to 2023, I saw the quality of people around him. So it's unfair for Wike to come here. What has Wike done in his life? If he ever practiced, he would have been a charge and bail lawyer if he ever practiced law. Charge and bail.
Mr. Momodu, let's take a moment. I would like to know, because it does look like you favor Mr. Atiku Abubakar in getting the ticket of the opposition, because in part of what I've read about your views is the fact that you think Atiku Abubakar is the biggest and the nicest gateway for the opposition to be able to defeat Bwala and the APC in 2027. But I need to take a quick break. And when we come back, we get your closing thoughts on how the pathway for the opposition in 2027 and the fact that your belief about Atiku Abubakar and the 2027 race against Bwala and the APC. And of course, after my conversation with Chief Dele Momodu, Up next will be Mr. Daniel Bwala, presidential spokesperson, who will also be speaking on the Tinubu administration and the response to the interview by Mr. Peter Obi on the performance of this government, whether or not Nigerians can trust the Tinubu government. We'll be getting some responses after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone. Our closing moment now with Chief Dele Momodu. The big question here, Chief Dele Momodu, is what the ADC and the opposition coalition platform has to offer Nigerians. You are of the opinion that it is either Atiku Abubakar or the opposition does not have a chance. Why would you say so?
And I never said that. I said the best choice will be my candidate, which is what I expect obedience to say, which I expect those who are supporting Amechi to say. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm looking at number one, the numbers. This game is a game of number. And the people who are most aggrieved today are from northern part of Nigeria. And if you've listened to Wike very well, they are all campaigning that the next president should still come from southern Nigeria. But they know very well that there is no southerner today. The only one who could have attempted it is Wike. And since he's already supporting Ashwaju, is not available. So the moment you see people waging a campaign of calumny against Atiku, you must know they feel threatened about Atiku. Even my brother, who is about to come on now, I listened to him a few days ago, appealing to Atiku to come and join Tinubu. They all know how formidable it is. Since 1993, when he stepped down from my adopted father, who sadly died on this day in 1998. Since then, the man has been pursuing his ambition without having any state governor to give him money. He's been running his business, investing in education, investing in agriculture. For me, this is a good example of what a leader should be in Nigeria. You will never find a talk in front of Atiku's house. Atiku will never call us, and Daniel was there to come and tell him how we can find someone in INEC to come and read on his behalf. For me, these are things that are appreciated by him. And it is my right to say those things. I've never asked anyone not to support. Obi is my very good friend. Today, if you ask me one of the people that I believe should lead the coalition, it will be Obi. And as a Democrat, I'm appealing to them. I hope they'll be able to do it democratically so that they will not say, oh, they forced one person on them. Let them all go to the field. Let all obedience campaign for Obi. Let all those articulates campaign for articulates. And let the Amechis campaign for Amechi. So that is my belief. And I don't think there is anything wrong with that. Only certificated Modaru people will go against such an arrangement. And I'm happy that the coalition is fully ready and prepared. It's a movement this time, unlike the APC. You know, when the APC started, a handful of people just left a few political parties and came together. But this time around, it's a movement. You can see the way the tsunami is starting already. I'm very proud.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chief Dele Momodu. There are those who are saying it's going to be almost a difficult task to be able to defeat Bola Tinubu and the APC in 2027.
Well, people will say that, but we are not God. Sometimes these things are destined, so let's wait and see. Thank you, Sheung.
It's a pleasure having you, Chief Dele Momodu, NCP presidential candidate in 2011, publisher of the Ovation magazine. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you, Sheung.
Let's turn our attention and hear directly from the presidency. I'm now being joined by Dr. Daniel Bwala, a lawyer and a presidential spokesperson who is live for us from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil on the sideline of the BRICS meeting, which the President Bola Tinubu is attending. Thank you so much, Mr. Bwala, for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, Dr. Sheung.
Thank you so much indeed. If you look at the interview with Mr. Peter Obi and those in the opposition coalition, they are of the opinion and their views are that this government lacks empathy. This government is wasteful. This government lacks the ability to be able to run this country right. I'm very sure that you watched that interview. And a lot of
Yes,
Nigerians will nod in the positive to what Mr. Peter Obi has said. How would he be able to defend what the government is doing in terms of the credibility in running the affairs of this country, in terms of cost of governance, the empathy that Mr. Peter Obi says this government lacks?
You know, I watched the interview. What I still find intriguing is that this coalition of internally displaced politicians have not been able to summon the courage and come with alternative facts, alternative policies, alternative programs. Throughout the interview you've had with Peter Obi, what I find, and you ask him very salient questions relating to policy, to governance, to specific issues of governance that we have applied or we're applying. He has not, throughout the interview, been able to controvert or to counter or to disagree in the real sense of the word with the policies that we are implementing. For example, you ask him about fuel subsidy. He said he will remove it and that what we did was not in an organized way and he will do it in an organized manner. You ask him again, what do you mean or how do you explain the way you will do it in an organized manner? He said he will remove the corruption in the subsidy before removing the subsidy. Absurdity. Actually, the corruption is in the subsidy. When you remove the subsidy, you remove the corruption. When you ask him a question about how to fix power, he said he will fix it. It's not rocket science. You say, okay, he should explain it. He said Egypt did it in 5 years. You ask him, okay, how will you explain it? He said Shewin is not rocket science. Was not able to answer. When he started raising this furious allegation about empathy, the question to ask is, and if you can look at it the world over, opposition political party try to not only talk, but try to do what they feel the government is not doing. In all these places of crisis he's talking about, and all the places where he said empathy was needed and the president wasn't there, was he there? Were the teams there? Is their coalition? They have not, in the last 2 years, demonstrated to Nigerians that they actually care about the plight of the Nigerian people. They are rich in their rights. They have not used their money, their contacts, their understanding, they have not mobilized the Nigerian people in any respect. What they do is the minute there is a crisis, they issue press statements. So their greatest strength in opposition is issuance of press statement, but without a definite plan of what they will do. And you see what, Dr. Shaw? Everything they have been talking in the last few days that they will do when they take over power, we're already doing it. When you ask him question about investment, he said he believes in production and not in consumption. You ask him how will he govern Nigeria, he said he will invest in education. Okay, we're already investing in education. We have 300,000 people, indigent members of the society who have access to school because of the funds that is provided. We have invested that in human capital development that he talked about. And you see the increase of the minimum wage. You have seen living conditions, workers across Nigeria being touched. Meanwhile, when he was a governor in Anambra, it was during his time that he increased the school fees of non-medical students from 35,000 to 75, and for medical up to 125,000. That led to some people pulling out of school and some people unable to finish. There were strikes during his time as governor. In fact, when the university went on strike, he sacked the vice chancellor. It is during his time as governor that the hospitals in Anambra had to go on strike because he could not provide a good living condition for the medical people. And he started persecuting the people, preferring mission schools over government school. This is the same Peter Obi in our climb and in this generation to wake up one morning and come up with an idea like a clap of thunder out of a blue sky. There is this thing called Bajwe. Sometimes you tend to think as if the Nigerian people are children. So whenever I listen to them about what they want to do, they have not been able to come out with it. Look at our policy, for example.
Let's take some of the issues one after the other. And right. There are litany of criticisms against this government in the wake of its 2 years anniversary or marking its 2 years in office. Mr. Peter Obi's comments are just one of those commentaries. But first, Mr. Peter Obi raised the issue about empathy. People died, and the issue about Mokwa, for example, and how the president is not being able to go on the ground. He says if he's elected president, he will go on the ground to such places. He says that kind of situation, wherever it is in the world, leaders will go on the ground, on the ground in that place. He mentioned the issue of people dying and the commissioning of both station by the president. He says that is insensitive. He spoke about even the issue in Benue. The president could not go right to Yawata. The president only stayed in Makodi. These are the issues about empathy. And any leader who wants to lead the country, from Mr. Obi's reference, it should have empathy. Does it look like this government doesn't have concern for empathy for citizens?
Very dark man has more empathy than Peter Obi. He's not a politician, but he was in Benue. Why does he have to wait until he becomes a president before he gets to Benue? Why will he wait until he becomes a president before he will demonstrate? Empathy is personal, and it can be public. So him as a person, where
principal did not go there. Why is it that your principal? Is there any reason why the president couldn't go to Yawata, couldn't go to Mokwa, and commissioning bus stations when people have died in the same, when soldiers are being buried?
So one thing about leadership is you have so many things and you have to prioritize them. If the president were to be physically in Yelwata, would he have made the differences he was in Benue? You see, some of this rhetoric of Peter Obi and by extension the opposition is neither here nor there. It is because they lack basic things to talk about as far as governance is concerned. They go to talk, okay, because if he was not in Benue, they will say he didn't go to Benue. Now you went to Benue, why didn't you go to Yelwata? The shifting of goalposts is one of these elements you find in these internally displaced politicians. How many of them are gasping for power now? About 7 of them. Who among them has gone there? Go to England, go to America and see the opposition, what they would have done. Secondly, Peter Obi is talking about, how did he even put it about that the president was commissioning something instead of going to where people have died? If he understands the institution of the presidency, if he understands leadership, if he even knows the constitution of Nigeria, he knows that under Section 5, the president exercised that power by himself through the vice president, ministers, agency heads, and government of the federation. So anybody in this government that you see in any part of Nigeria where there is crisis, and I dare say the National Security Advisor has been going to all these places where there are crises. The military officers have been going in all these places where there are crises. The intelligence officers have been going to all these places where there are crises. These individuals are representative of Mr. President, except if he doesn't know what Section 5 is. And this is why they don't even know how to register a political party. And they started complaining. I find it very intriguing, honestly, that this element that come together under opposition have still not been fair to the Nigerian people to come up with concrete plans that they have. They are association of people desperate for power. Unfortunately for them, Nigerians know them. These people do not come like a clap of thunder out of a blue sky. We know their history. In fact, one of the characteristics of Peter Obi is falsehood, disinformation, and misinformation. Since 2023, when people fact-checked him, he has ceased saying, go and verify. So when I listened to some of the things he was saying that 2 days ago, I felt ordinarily we are not even supposed to react to him because Peter Obi now is a non-issue, is a non-starter. Already he has conceded his presidential ambition to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Now he has become a second fiddle, but he needs to fight for the vice presidential ticket with Rotimi Amechi. And from what we are hearing, they have in a badway manner convinced him that he will be director general of the campaign to lead the movement, and that when they win election, Atiku will do 1 term, and then Peter Obi will come back to become president. Badway plus badway is equal to badway.
Let me ask you. Mr. Obi alluded to the fact that this government has run this country into more debt, and it says this government has borrowed more. 2024 or Q1 of 2024, and that's about 24% increase in our debt profile, and that is the inference Mr. Peter Obi made.
And it's false because some of his people went and asked Grok, Grok, that artificial intelligence assistant, and this is what Grok said. Peter Obi's claim that Tinubu borrowed more than Yar'Adua, Jonathan, and Buhari combined is a distortion. In Naira terms, debt rose from 46 trillion in 2023 to 149 due to Naira devaluation, not new loans. US dollar debt actually fell from $113 billion to 97, a net repayment. Previously, claims added to 97 of 94 billion combined in real terms. So Grok came out with facts to disprove the falsehood of Peter Obi that it is not devaluation that accounted to that amount he's mentioning as debt, and it is not debt. Peter Obi does not have knowledge of statistics now. There is no fact he reels out that when it is verified has not come out as false. There is not a single one. And he knows that it's falsehood, but he's happy to just throw it because he has an army of people called the obedient who normally don't use their brains in interpreting whatever he says, but they take hook, line, and sinker and run to the market with it. Throughout today, I've been on social media, for the times that I've had. They have been asking Grok questions, and Grok has been fact-checking and giving them what they were not prepared for. The summary of everything Grok has been saying today is that Peter Obi has not been given the facts as they are in his allegation. The only thing Grok said that is a bit fair to him, he says that Peter Obi is somebody that is respectable. But the facts on ground don't support that. This is the point. But he's not even going to be the presidential candidate. The reason I'm out today is just to debunk that. He's not even our focus. He's not even going to be the vice president. I mean, Director General of their next campaign will now be wasting our time and be responding to him. He has deceived the obedient because their contract with him is that he's going to be the president and now has been reduced first to second fiddle and now to the position of Director General to lead the campaign that in 2031 he will be made president. So Nigerian people will know the days of sentiment that he used in 2023, religious sentiment, is over. If you have noticed the thought that Peter Obi deceived, they are not with Peter Obi at the moment. Their eyes are open. Secondly, the youth that Peter Obi claimed to have represented, Peter Obi has never identified with the youth. But the third and the most important thing, because what is the most important is that anybody who wants to wrest power from an incumbent government should come with alternative facts, come with alternative policy. That is the only thing that matters. But this coalition have not been able to come up with any policy that is alternative. Everything they say they want to do, we're already doing it. So why fix it when it is not bad?
The big question right here in the debate and the reasons why the opposition coalition says they're coming together is to the fact that this government has not met the expectations based on promises made and performance that have been delivered. And I was going to also ask you, are there preparation within the villa? Because we understand that there is a warning from the coalition that you guys need to start preparing your handover notes and start getting out of office because the opposition coalition is serious about sending the president back to Lagos in 2027. And they said they will keep to that. The fear and the storm brewing, even in the APC, there are those who are saying that the party may not be able to withstand the storm that the opposition is bringing to it. Is that realization in the presidency, and is that driving in the minds of those who are in power right now?
Honestly, Sheon, they are living in the fool's paradise. And let me explain. You see, all this fantasy of coalition, we all know that once there is a phenomenon like that, they are going to have a good 2 to 3 weeks of all these romanticizing of we have idea, we can do this. But one of them, his name is Dati, already sensed the danger that lurks ahead for them. And he said that the problem of this coalition will be who will be the presidential candidate, because right now, he said, I'm quoting him, everybody wants to become president. You see, this thing it's because the media hyped them, because they come together. After 1 month, when they sit down, I am telling you, Shewood, on my own honor, in the next 6 months, that coalition team will not even be a conversation. They will be scattered. That's why Peter Obi said, I am still a member of Labour Party. Because he's looking at it that if the obedient people shout at him and they are going to depart from it, he's going to come back to where he comes from. So talking to us about packing out of the villa, the question I will have to tell them is it not the Nigerian people that will vote them? The Nigerian people don't like them because they have not been able to bring to the... See, if you don't have
So, Bwala,
alternative
did you
idea,
hear what the APC member said to me in an interview? Zainab Buba Galadima, a member of your party, who said to me that this is going to be the toughest battle that the president will ever see. It is going to be the toughest for him. He also says that, he said there is a storm brewing. He said he's highly disappointed in the APC. I thought APC was really ready for victory. They did not know how to manage victory. And he thinks that there is a storm coming. That is the view of Zainab, a member of your party who thinks that there is no chance in the world on green earth for President Tinubu in 2027.
I don't know her. I'm sorry. I don't even know her. And I don't think she has acquired the status that will require my response to what she will say. But I am talking about the coalition. Let me tell you, Dr. Shewan, is it not fair and respect to the Nigerian people that this coalition should be able to come out with alternative plan? Because when you come out with alternative plan, that means you respect the sensibility of the people you want to vote you. But when these aggrieved elements come together, one didn't get ministerial position, he's angry, he wants to unseat the government. The other one failed in the election last time, and the Labour Party became fragmented, and he's desperately looking for relevance in power because, of course, every election cycle, they make money. You have that element. There is another one who was defeated in the primaries, never supported the president in the campaign. He too has been angry. Then there is another one, my former principal, who believes that he's going to win. And in all honesty, I have expressed my opinion that it may never have been the day in destiny. I mean, destiny by God for him to become a president in Nigeria because he has done everything he needs to do to be president, and he did not win the presidency. And 2023 was the biggest opportunity that my former principal, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, had. He would never have that kind of privilege again. So, and look at Asiwaju, for example. Have you seen him for one day talking about them? He's focused on governance. If even the body language we have in the Buala is to remain focused on governance issue and not be distracted by the opposition. The only reason why once in a while we'll come out to talk is because when they reel out falsehood and we do not disprove it, then the people will believe that it is true. Or sometimes when the media call on us to react to it. If not, let me tell you, all these people you are calling the coalition coming together, they will not be, if you are bringing people in ranking order, on our own side, probably the fourth generation under Asiwaju's legacy, they will be able to defeat all of them. They are spent politicians. They don't have ideas. They don't have the vision for the future.
Mr. Daniel Bwala is one of President Bola Tinubu's spokesperson. Thank you so much indeed speaking with us on the sideline of the BRICS conference in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Thank you so much for your time tonight. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Akimale. God bless Nigeria.